Good evening and welcome to On the Bywire, where we bring you the news you know you can trust. Dano, what's good, people? It is Tuesday night and I am Dan Lewis. And for the next half hour, I will be reporting on today's news from Bywire and our independent media partners. Now, straight into the thing because we got a lot to run through as per usual. It might be a recess for Parliament, but I tell you what, the rest of the world is working hard. And some sad news, first of all, over to Myanmar, where they are struggling with flooding. Hundreds of people are reported missing or displaced, while they are also facing daily increases in their number of COVID cases. This is all while the military coup started in February continues to cause more issues for the people of Myanmar. Now, we do have some good news, I believe, here in the UK. This is in regards to COVID. Cases have been going down in what currently is being named as the third wave. Vaccines have started to impact a reduction in hospitalizations and deaths. The Imperial College epidemiologist, don't know, man's working on his big words out here, you get me? Now, Neil Ferguson, that's the epidemiologist. Yeah. Anyway, he has said today that the end of the pandemic could be months away. Now, don't hold me to it. I'm just reporting what the experts said. You know what I mean? Like, although it is fantastic being able to go out and do so many things that we couldn't do before, there is still fear of the virus in the air. And hearing that we could be close to the end of the pandemic is very exciting. Oh, my days. Like, but I definitely hope this means positive things to come. But at the same time, call me whatever you want to call me. I wouldn't put it past this government, right? Just to fudge the figures after, there was that poll recently where it wasn't looking too good for Boris and the Conservatives. Like, I hope I'm wrong. I hope what I'm saying here is just speculation. I hope it is. But they've not exactly got a good record with figures and doing things to benefit themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at their record, right? I can't trust anything that comes out of a government spokesperson or anything. Like, they made this happen. They made this happen. I just can't trust them. So I'm telling you what the expert has said, but the expert was saying it with the government's support. You know what I mean? Right? Just take it as you see it. Right? That's all it is. Now over to some other news. Extinction Rebellion, the climate activists organization who are beyond politics while trying to fight the biggest political issue of our future and time, have launched a newspaper today. It is called Not the Sun, and it is tied into a Free the Press campaign. Now, for more on this, head on over to themeteor.org. That is themeteor.org, where our friends in Manny have the full scoop. Keeping in with the climate, and Boris Johnson's spokeswoman Allegra Stratton is probably wishing for cold weather to cool down after today's roasting that she got on Twitter. Earlier on, she tweeted, "Could not rinsing dishes before the dishwasher be your hashtag one step greener ahead of hashtag COP26? If that's too hard a habit to kick, pick something else. At COP26, we have big asks for the world on cash, coal, cars, and trees. But the micro matters too. Change is coming." When a bomb. If I was my mum, I'd be flipping my slipper in the air like, what the? Throwing it at the TV or something. Or at the... She's not serious. Like, it was linked to an article in the Telegraph, and she had written the article in the Telegraph. Obviously, this was not targeted at the majority of people in the UK who don't pay to read the Tory worshipping papers. Like, it's just expensive toilet paper, really. Ain't no one I'll stick with the value stuff, you know what I mean? The own brands. Come on, man. The tweet was enough to trigger a well educated response from many people on Twitter. Unsurprisingly, given the fact that 71% of global emissions are caused by just 100 multinational corporations. emissions. People were not exactly impressed at Stratton's attempt to lay the burden of responsibility on climate change at the door of ordinary people. Of course, too right, because that's what this government do. Stuff goes wrong that's a cause of capitalism or themselves, and they blame it on the people. And don't get twisted, right? Like, I'm not saying is you're bougie if you got a dishwasher, but come on now, like, surely the people who have got the money, like the time to have a nice dishwasher and rinse before the dishwasher, surely they've got enough money to do a bit more about climate change, no? I'm just saying, like, man still washing with the hand and the cloth, you get me? Like, that's me out here, bruv. Come on. Now, another person not in the good books of the people is Matt Hancock. And he's also in the news today. I know. You be thinking man will be trying to lay low right now. Well, technically he is, I believe. But his home council have passed a vote of no confidence in him, which to me is fantastic stuff. If you want the full story, head on over to the Squawk Box for the full story. I quite enjoyed reading that one. And also, a new report today in the big issue has found that it would only cost £82 million a year to eradicate rough sleeping by 2024. Think how much it would cost in just 1 year. So, 82 million a year by 2024. Just think about that money. It wouldn't even come close to like £100 billion. Like, that's an unbelievable amount, right? Like, the government would spend £100 billion on housing people who don't have homes, veterans, families, children, all kinds of different people, NHS workers that might be on, really, really bad times because they lost their job or something. I don't know. People who have helped build this economy and now are facing really bad times are homeless. The government, they, £100 billion, that's a lot of money to ask. But 82 million, that's a year. That's not bad. Like, let's just do it for comparison. Say £100 billion, that's like the equivalent to, I don't know, building a railway from London to Leeds via Chester to get there 20 minutes quicker than you normally would. But the government wouldn't do that, would they? No, because £84 million a year to house the homeless, you can't see them doing that. Also, let's not forget that it also costs over £100 million a year to pay our MPs. That's our money, our taxes. You know when you get paid and it says taxes, that's your money that goes to pay for them MPs. But housing homeless people, no. You have got the wrong government. We do not house homeless people. Come on. Tell me again that the Conservatives care about us, because I can't hear you. They don't care, man. These guys do not care about the people. They do not care about the working class. They do not care about people in need. They don't care about the NHS. They don't care about our veterans. The people who have gone out there and fought the capitalist wars for oil. They don't care about any of those people, right? It doesn't matter who you are. Unless you got money and you giving it to the Tories, the government don't care. So when you say it could cost £84 million a year to house the homeless in 4 years, this government ain't listening. In other news, GMB, the union, have withdrawn their funding from the Labour Party in London. So just to be clear, this is the London Labour Party, and this is after a grieving caretaker was sacked after 24 years service. The 43-year-old was given his marching orders by the Labour-run Islington Council for his part in a Facebook Live video against Islington road closures in November last year. By the way, Labour have recently announced their plans to support getting people into work. Yeah, Keir was in Blackpool just like 2 weekends ago talking about how he's going to launch like a jobs thing, and they've also launched a jobs charter. They also are letting go 90 staff from their head office. Like, I'm just saying. Now, what has happened to the Party of the Workers? Like, oh, right, yeah. They elected a Knight of the Realm to lead the party. These lot don't care either. Seriously, if you got someone who has been knighted by the by the empire. And what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're only going to keep propping up the empirical ways. Empirical? Empirical? I don't know. You know what I mean, though. They're going to keep propping up the ways of the empire and capitalism. It don't work for us. It don't work for the people. I tell you what, though, it works for them. And if them lot in London in their suits are happy, they will keep going and going. Trust me now. Big news, people. Big news next. Oh, my days. So big, I am shouting from the rooftops. Yes, our friends at the Rooftop, news worth shouting about, have launched some new sponsorship packages. I love this, independent media. I will shout from the rooftops about the Rooftop, especially when it comes to supporting independent media, getting support out there, just making sure that independent media is able to thrive, keep going and reporting on the news that, as we say here at Bywire, you can trust. The Rooftop has today launched a new set of sponsorship packages, offering organizations with limited marketing budgets access to affordable promotional opportunities on the Rooftop website and social media channels. The new sponsorship packages with the Rooftop allow organizations to position themselves alongside positive news stories about charities, public sector organizations, social enterprises, community interest companies, and trade unions. Don't know the trade unions, got to keep the trade unions about. Now, for more info on this, head over to therooftop.news. If you're interested, or if you want to share it on your social media platforms, definitely do. Now, before we head over to Big Pond, I just got to ask you guys one quick question. Can you do me a favor? Can you? Yes, I hear you. Yes. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button. Done know. If you ain't on YouTube, flick on over to Bywire News on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Check out the vibe. It is big. It is bad. And I'm there every night at 9 p.m. You know what it is, people. Come on. Now, let's get that plane over the ponds because, oh, my days, there is stuff going on in America. Now, we're going to go see Joe, where are my aviators, Biden's crew of Democrats, because Jasmine Norton from the Canary is covering their extraordinary action to protect voting rights. This one's important, so listen up on this. You get me? Like, Republicans, so they're like there's two big parties in America, if you don't know. Yeah, you got the Democrats who are like kind of like Lib Dems, but you got a couple of lefties in there, and then you got the Republicans who are like UKIP but with loads of money. So imagine UKIP on steroids and people in really nice suits. Like, I know UKIP's a bit like, but Republicans, they got a couple bits of money anyway. So the Republicans, the even worse than the bad guys, they are trying to pass laws which will make it harder to vote in the USA. Sound familiar? Where else are they? We'll come to that. In Republican-controlled Texas, lawmakers advanced a bill earlier this month that would stop drive-through voting, 24-hour polling stations, place new ID requirements on mail-in ballots, and ban drop boxes. I was laughing at this earlier when we were going through the stories, right? Only in America would they have drive-through voting. Like when they brought a drive-through, what was it? A drive-through donut thing for Krispy Kremes. I was like, nah, come on, this is stupid. Drive-through voting. Like, I get it. I'm not saying it's stupid. It's just, I suppose capitalism does mess up with the working man and woman, and we are always in a rush trying to get things done. So if you can just drive through and drop your vote off, boom, do the thing, man. Now, in response, the Democrats flew out of the state as the Republicans need a 2/3 quorum, meaning like 2/3 of the room to be able to vote, to go ahead with state business. Now, quorum, it's like referring to the minimum number of members that of a legislature or a group that must be present to make sure that the whole meeting is valid. President Joe Biden has criticized the attempts, saying, he had his aviators on when he said this as well, yeah, there is an unfolding assault taking place in America. No, I'm not going to do it. In America today, an attempt to suppress and subvert the right to vote in fair and free elections, an assault on democracy, an assault on liberty, an assault on who we are as Americans. Woo, Joe's going for it there, man. Some power there. Who we are as Americans. You hear the words? Very, very, very passionate and influential. You know, they get people's hearts. Yeah, this is an assault on me. This is an assault on us. In the meantime, though, the Democrats are also using filibustering as a tactic as they try to resist voting laws. In Alabama, walking out to block the quorum is impossible, as Republicans there have a supermajority, meaning that the quorum can be formed without the Democrats. That's mad. Anyway, filibustering is basically just like when you have a supply teacher in school and you ask them bare questions about, I don't know, themselves, what they used to do, what schools they've taught at, wherever, until there is no time to do the work that they were going to give you. You know them ones there, delay tactics. That's where it is. Now, according to the Brennan Center for Justice, as of 14th of July, 18 states across the US have enacted 30 laws that restricted voting access this year. More than 400 bills intending to make it harder to vote were introduced during the 2021 legislative session across nearly every state. It is a worrying situation, and especially where here in the UK, Tories are looking to introduce the requirement of having ID to be able to vote here. We know the Tories love to emulate the Republican right-wing ways, so this will only be encouragement for them here in the UK. Jasmine has covered the full story and explained why none of this is necessary. Head on over to the Canary, check out the article, because trust me, there's a lot of stuff going on there, and it's good to keep an eye on it, because you don't know the Tories are going to be looking at doing them similar things here, man. Trust me. Now, over to Open Democracy's Marissa Bate, who has been looking at the UK's new Domestic Abuse Act, which puts the focus on changing the perpetrator's behavior, which Marissa says is not enough, but major cultural change is needed. Historically, time and money have been spent on the victims, mostly women and children, and the much needed crisis response, creating refuge spaces for those fleeing abuse. Any attempts to rehabilitate abusers so that they are less likely to reoffend and have been deprioritized and underfunded. However, the Domestic Abuse Act 2021, which became law at the end of April, states that the government must have a perpetrator strategy. This is why more than 70 domestic abuse charities and organizations have launched a public call to action, urging the government to ensure its plans are ambitious and wide-reaching enough. Instead of asking why doesn't she leave, charities are demanding a shift in focus to why doesn't he stop? From perpetrator programs to changing masculinity and culture, Marissa gives us the history of domestic abuse sector and explains why this change is needed. With professional advice and many evidence-based conclusions, this is a well-needed piece on what we need to hear from the government in their plans on the matter. Also, there's a lot of information there, which is perfect for being able to use in everyday conversations with people. This is not just about what the government can do. This is about what we can all do. There are things that we all see and hear every day. Well, I'd hope it wasn't every day, but that we can see every day in our working lives, when we're out and about, when we're shopping, when we're at work, that people might display, mostly men, might display in their relationships, or even signs in the person being abused, the victim, or even children, that we can pick up on and we can do something about. There are many charities out there, so please definitely do have a read of the article, have a look at the charities that are involved in this, and think about what you can do to help change society in regards to domestic abuse and the way that we treat the abusers, rather than just looking at how the victims can get away. It's an important issue. It means a lot to a lot of people, and I just feel that it's needed to be stressed on the point that it's something that we can all be a part of. So definitely check that one out, and thanks to Marissa for sharing the article. Now, Minds the gap. I've never been able to do that properly. Like, I minds the gap. It just doesn't work. Like, I lived 18 years in London, and I just could not do it. Now, Byline Times are pulling into the station with Jake Tarchi and Ian Overton, who are in the driver's seats. A stark gender pay gap exists for top cabinet special advisors, also known as SPADs. The Byline intelligence team have revealed. Yes, I love when Byline do these things. Yeah, they got the Byline intelligence team. They go in and they find some stuff out. And today they are proving the gender pay gap in government. Yes, an analysis of the annual report on Special Advisors 2020, published last December, shows that the top 10 highest paid male SPADs that year earned, on average, £23,000 more than the top 10 highest paid female SPADs. That's 22% higher. When I see stuff like this, I think to myself, why on earth, those Ford women, they must be fuming when they see this stuff going on. If you don't know about the Ford women, there was some women that worked for Ford and they felt that they needed equal pay, rightly so. So they took it to the union. The union, run by men, were like, and the women were like, no, it's yes. And they fought and fought. They walked out. The union backed them in the end. Well, the union backed them, and they got it. They didn't get fair pay, but they got to Parliament. They met with someone who was in the in power, and they managed to get an agreement of a start towards equal pay. And it's so many years later. That was in the 60s. We're now in 2021, and the government itself are still paying women less. Now, whilst exact remuneration is not revealed, information is provided on the salary bands individuals fall into, the highest being between £140,000 and £144,999. Whew, that was a mouthful of money. I wish I had a mouthful of money. Now, I used to work at a bank, so I'm no good with numbers. But the Byline intelligence team, they are good with numbers, and they have crunched the numbers, working out an average of 105% higher pay for male SPADs. These male salaries include the salary of it's Barnard Castle's greatest sponsor, Dominic Cummings, who left his role as chief advisor to the Prime Minister last November. Cummings was also given a pay rise of at least £40,000 for his position. In 2019, he was paid between £99,990 and £99,999. But his salary was bumped up to £140,000 to £144,000 in 2020. It's reflective of society across the UK and how we expect equality when the government, the people in charge of making, they're in charge of making the law and leading the way. Basically, they're not leading by example specifically on improving work for women. It shows even more reason why I hate these damn Tories. Now over to Bristol with our friends at the Bristol Cable. Dano, we love you guys, and they are hosting Fight Night. Well, not really. I thought it was when I read the title at first, but what's happening over there is Afra Evans and Priyanka Raval have been looking into the final fight over the Bristol Airport expansion. Amid council infighting and climate inaction, that sounds familiar, a public inquiry starts on the Southwest's biggest climate decision. Priyanka Raval has been speaking to activists and local politicians to try and untangle how the inquiry works and who's throwing their hat into the ring. So there might be a fight, there might be a little bit, but there's a really good video where there's interviews, conversations, all on the matter, and I just recommend watching it. It's less than 10 minutes long, and it really does give you an in-depth look at what's going on there, but also starting to think about the fact that the biggest issue of our time is the climate, and it's in the news every day. And across the world, there are people trying to expand airports. Now, in our big story of the day, the Canary have reported that that there are MPs warning of further failings to the people of Windrush. When I started looking at this, what's going on here, and learning about what the government have done, I wasn't surprised, right? I wasn't surprised. As usual with this government, I wasn't surprised. But I am angry. I'm angry that there are members of parliament who could have done something before now. There are members of parliament, there are members of staff even in parliament who could have whistleblown, right? I get it. It's dangerous to whistleblow in government. I get it. And I respect people who take the decision that they can't risk that, because there's a lot going on in the world right now. And whistleblowing, unfortunately, it can cost you your job and all kinds of stuff. But I was angry. I was really, really angry. And if you haven't read this story already or heard about what's gone on, it's just unacceptable. Before we do continue, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to share the video. If you're on Twitter, retweet it, holler at your people, let them know what's good when it comes to the news you can trust here on Bywire. This is on the Bywire, and tonight's top story is from the Canary. We are talking about the Windrush generation, who have been let down again by the failings of the government. Now, through its ill-thought-out compensation scheme, MPs have said that the remuneration scheme is too complex and too slow to hand out money. They also described it as being understaffed, with only 6 people at first hired to deal with a predicted 15,000 claims. Following public outcry, the UK government put in place a compensation program designed to reimburse those impacted by the Windrush scandal. But the Public Accounts Committee, after reviewing the Home Office's progress, criticised the approach to redressing the wrongs done to the Windrush generation. The cross-party group found that some people had died before their claims were even dealt with, while fewer than a quarter of claimants have received a payout. If you haven't got a lump in your throat and you're not already angry and just wanting to throw something at the screen or turn up at Parliament and shout at some of them people, I don't know what you're doing. The committee published a 7-page report last month where evidence found that only 412 of the 2,367 claims that had been submitted had received a final payment, despite the process being open for 2 years. 2 years. In an update to the Commons earlier this month, Home Office Minister Kit Malthouse put the number of people who had been awarded money at 732, with £24 million paid out from the £32 million offer. More lies? I think so. Only 4 out of 132 claims made on behalf of the state, a state of someone who had died, had received payment, it added. Now, the parliamentary committee found that the Home Office was employing just 6 caseworkers at its launch to deal with processing complaints and claims, compared with the 125 it considered it would need. This is unbelievable. This is unacceptable. It is not surprising. It is exactly what we expect of this government. And if these things continue to happen, more and more people are going to die without the remuneration that they deserve. They rightly deserve. Now, this shouldn't have happened in the first place. Whether you want to blame Amber Rudd, the other one, or Theresa May, or even the smirking assassin, Mrs. Patel, I don't care who you blame. It is the Tories' fault. These people came to this country and they helped the country rebuild at a time in need, right? These people are not our enemy. They are the people that helped make this country what it is today. Without them, we might not have some of the luxuries we enjoy in regards to the NHS, in regards to so many things. They're a part of our culture. They're a part of our history. And what happened in the first place was wrong. It was unacceptable. The fact that it continued and the fact that it took public outcry, let alone the complaints from the people being affected, for the government to actually do something. And to this day, we're at a point where they haven't even employed the staff they need. Only 4 out of 132 claims made that have been paid that were made of people who have died. What? This is unacceptable, honestly. There is an expected 15,000 claims. Now, fair enough, 2,300 have been made, but only 412 of them have received a final payment. Are you mad? Are you mad? When the paperwork comes into the government, right? When the paperwork comes into them and they say, oh, we've got another undocumented one here, and Priti Patel's like, get them out of this country, put them on the next chartered flight or whatever it is. They don't waste no time. 4 o'clock the next morning, man's house gets raided. 10 o'clock tonight, 4 o'clock next morning, man's got cuffs on a plane flying out to Jamaica. They ain't messing around when it comes to deporting people. So why on earth are they messing around when it comes to giving people what they deserve? It's not acceptable. It's not right. And it is endemic of this government. It is a continuation of what we continue to see from these evil bastards. Lord have mercy when the next election come about, because my job will only be to campaign against these I don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube police, so I'm going to keep my language on a calm level. You get me? Listen up, guys. That's the story from the Canary. There's a lot more detail in the story, and I think it's a brilliant line here that ended the report from the committee that said, basically, the whole system has never actually caught up and it is understaffed, and we need to see immediate action. Whether we'll see that immediate action, I don't know. But definitely do, guys, check out the Canary and write to your MP about this. Tell them you're not happy and tell them you want something done. While you're there, there's a little thing that says CC. And if you didn't know, that means carbon copy. It sends a copy to the person whose email you put in there. Put in Boris Johnson's email. Put in Priti Patel's email. Put every blood clot MP's email in there and let them know you are not happy about this, because we need them to make change on it. My name is Dan Lewis. This is On the Bywire. We will keep bringing you the news that you know you can trust, and we will hold this government to account on every smidgen of everything that they do, whether it's the climate, whether it's the way they treat people, or the bombs they're throwing on schools and hospitals in other countries. Peace and love, my people. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing you already tomorrow night at 9 p.m. on the same channel. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and follow.